Hey guys, welcome back. This is Library of Orthanc, LOTR TCG. Got another fun video for you today in the Decipher Fellowship block format. We previously did a video on the World Champions deck list, and so then this is the runner-up at Worlds that year. This is by Yannick LaPointe, and this is the infamous Choke deck. So again, looking at this deck, I think will kind of show you the reasons why some of the Decipher Fellowship block strategies are a bit broken, and why I'm thankful that now, after all these years, the Players Council is running formats that have those things nerfed. So to be clear, this is the original deck from that Worlds tournament in the Two Towers era. I'm blanking on what year this was. I think it was 03 would have been the year this was. But basically the year that Towers Standard was being played in the main event, this was the day 2 event, was Fellowship block. So this is just a straight Fellowship block deck, Decipher Fellowship block, and we'll go through it. Again, this player opted to do the goblins, so you guys are probably getting really tired of the Moria goblin deck text, so we'll really shorten that part of it up. But I want to give you a really good, thorough deck tech on the Fellowship side of this, because this is a very intriguing deck, the way it's put together, and I think, like I said, highlights some of the problems with Choke as a strategy. So here we have the Ring Bearer, Frodo Reluctant Adventurer. Again, that goes well with Choke by letting you play stuff for -1. And of course, Isildur's Bane. And then your starting Fellowship is going to be, oh, I didn't have them in order here. Your starting Fellowship is going to be Gimli and Sam. Again, very odd Fellowship, of course, but the reason why we have Gimli is strictly for this choking ability, is he can choke on those sites 4 and 5, and that really helps keep the Twilight down on those sites. And then Sam is purely in here to allow us to go first, so allow us to make an aggressive bid and be able to choke and run, basically. So that's your starting Fellowship. So this Gimli, again, just to show that more closely, each underground site is shadow -2. So -2 is, again, a pretty big choke on that. You guys know, again, are familiar with these cards already, I'm sure. So then, from there, the remaining companion, to no one's surprise, and again, this is a very companion-light deck. The remaining companions are, we have 4 copies of everyone's favorite Choke Man, Aragorn, Heir to the White City. So again, we're just really making sure that without a doubt we have this down early so that we can choke our opponents. Because again, this is each time the Fellowship moves during the Fellowship phase, remove 2. So remember, that doesn't work on the double move, but it does work the very first time that you move, because you're moving in the Fellowship phase. And again, one thing to be aware of, if you don't play any cards, there's nothing to remove, so you don't get to remove 2 because the Twilight from the site is not yet in there to be removed. So it's when you remove 2, you have to actually play a card to get that -2 reduction. But basically, it lets you play up to two Twilight worth of cards for free every turn, is kind of the equivalent of what that says. But yeah, just a busted card, and that's why we've got the full play set. And then in there, just to complement as another just solid character, because we have to play someone, is Boromir, the Lord of Gondor. This is just super solid Boromir, can't be overwhelmed unless his strength is tripled. Just got 3 copies of those because it so happens that the cards that are good with Aragorn are also good with Boromir. And if we're choking, we want to keep a minimal number of companions down. My guess is we're going to try to kill Sam right away, right out of the gate. And then we're basically down to just Frodo and Gimli. Quite honestly, Gimli can totally die after site 5. So I would anticipate that going into the end sites, you're literally running a 3-companion Fellowship of this. A stacked Aragorn, a stacked Boromir, and Frodo, and that's it. So very interesting the way this is going to play out for you. So then that's the companions. Then in terms of the support cards for those companions, again, we go fairly minimal on support because most of our stuff is involving choking. Oh, sorry, one other crucial part of the strategy that I failed to mention is that because we're playing Sam and bidding high to go first, we are playing our own Site 1, which is the Hobbiton party field, so that we can play the one copy of Bilbo we have in our deck. So we just play one Bilbo to control the conditions, but again, we're looking to bid high, get our Site 1 down, and get that Bilbo down. And that's why we're playing the full 4 Aragorns. We're not playing the Prancing Pony to get him. We're going to get him out by drawing one, and we're going to be looking to win the bid, play Bilbo off the Hobbiton party field. So that's our ally, one single ally. Then getting into our possession support package. Again, fairly lean. Sometimes you see extra copies of these things, but in this deck we're keeping the support as lean as possible. So we have one Ranger Sword for Aragorn, one Blade of Gondor for Boromir, and then we do have a double Flaming Brand, so each person can end up with one of those. We do have then 2 Gorn Bows. Again, this is critical because when you're choking your opponent, archery just becomes so much better. So we do double up on the Gorn Bow. And then Sting and Bill the Pony. Well, Bill the Pony is more of the choke strategy, but Sting is the support card for Frodo. So again, I'd say a little, kind of shaving one off of each of these to keep the possession support lean so that we have enough room for all of our chokes. So then in terms of the rest of the deck, this has a small tail theme to it, but also a choke theme. So let's look at the choke theme here. So the one thing that this deck does that I find very interesting is we play 2 copies of the Shards of Narsil. So I'm just showing this because the cards we're about to look at where we do have extra multiple copies, this is so good for cycling because you can just stack a Gondor card from hand here. No cost to stack it. So if you just want Gondor cards just out of your hand during the Fellowship phase, you can just stack them on the Shards of Narsil. So that's so good because you can get your first one down. If you get your second one, you can even stack that on there. You've got your 4 copies of Aragorn. So of course, if you're wanting to use those to heal, definitely use them to heal. But if you've got extra, you can just throw the extra down on there. Same thing with Boromir. You got 3 Boromirs. If you got an extra, you throw it down on there. And then if it is helpful to you to ever take those back, you can just take those back into your hand for 1. Again, we're choking, so we want to try to be sparing with that. But if these become useful later on, for healing, for example, you can just pick them right back up. So this is just quite an engine that is not widely played, but this particular deck, it just works so well for because of playing all of the Gondor men, all of the Gondor possessions, we just have a huge Gondor subtype, and then that enables us to cycle through so that we can get to some of our choke cards more quickly. So we do have Bill the Pony. Again, that just makes shadow numbers on sites -1. You do have to discard him if underground, like all the other horses in the Fellowship. Then some of the other parts of the choke strategy here. This is critical here. We have 3 copies of No Stranger to the Shadows. Again, we can only use 2 because we only have 2 Rangers, but this again is just a key card. It's a 0 cost condition, makes the site number -1. So we just want to get that down so quickly as possible. That's why we have 3. And again, if you get an extra, you just toss it on the Shards of Narsil, no problem. But yeah, you see there's just cumulatively, there's so much choke here between, you've got your No Strangers and Bill the Pony, and you've got Aragorn, Heir of White City, you've got Gimli. It just starts to kind of create a cumulative effect of that there is just a tremendous amount of choking going on here when you kind of look at what's going on. Every person is contributing to the choke strategy. So you've got that, and then In particular, the Gimli, how we want to choke for him is we do want to make sure for sure that at site 4, we're able to play a Pathfinder to be able to make sure we play our own site 4, because we're going to be playing an underground site 4, the Dwarrowdelf Chamber, and that's just going to be a 0 right off of Gimli. So that's a really nice thing that we want to make sure that we Pathfind. And again, we got 2 copies of that. But again, extra Pathfinders, throw them on the Shards of Narsil. It all just really goes together. And then the other thing that does go with Gimli, in particular, if you're playing against a Moria deck, you're going to want to keep him around. And that is, we have triplicate Song of Durin. And this just makes it so incredibly difficult for Moria, because this card discards 2 Moria conditions, and as long as it's in play, it chokes their weapons at +2. So just by having these around when you're already choking them, and then making them pay 4 for a scimitar, for example, they're just not going to be able to afford that. And then if you want to use this to destroy armories, you can, and then Aragorn can just poke out all their minions. It's just a great combo. If you're not playing against Moria, these do supplement the tail strategy that we'll talk about with Bilbo, because these are tails. Then, again, as part of any good choke strategy, you've got some skirmish canceling, so that if they do get, 1 big minion down, you can just cancel the skirmish. It's very debilitating. So we got 3 Hobbit Stealths. And then, again, just some random support for Frodo. We've got Elbereth and There and Back Again. And again, both of these are tails, so they support the tail strategy. And then, again, Uruk-hai is paramount in this format, so we do have a stone troll that we can throw down onto Aragorn and Aragorn and Boromir. That's the one that to play requires you to spot Bilbo. Again, another big reason why we've got to get our Bilbo down is we're playing these. So they're super good against Uruk-hai to get that strength +3 bonus and just pump your guys. And again, if they're not Uruk-hai, then that's when you have, you've got your Bilbo. So he does exert Bilbo and discard a tail to discard a shadow condition from an opponent's support area. So that's where you can just get rid of anything that they've got sitting around their support area by discarding, your trolls, not your no strangers, excuse me, those are not tails. Your trolls, your Elbereth, and There and Back Again. Those 4 are all tails. And then, as I mentioned before, the 3 Songs of Durin are all tails. So I believe those are you've got 7 tails in your deck with those, with that package there. So yeah, that's really the free peoples. Like I said, individually, it looks like you're playing just, a bunch of junk, but all put together, it really, really prevents your opponent from being able to do anything, and your deck can just cycle tremendously well. And then you are combined with a shadow that also cycles tremendously well, and that is the Moria Shadow. Again, I'll just lay this out for you guys quick. You've seen this before, even from me on this channel. So you've got your standard Moria. I'll point out anything that I feel is a meta choice, but you've got your 4 runners, you've got your 3 scavengers, you've got your 4 Lemonheads or Moria Scouts. And again, we're playing Fellowship, so we've got 2 Nertea, 2 Enkea, all the basics there that you're going to be playing in Moria. And then kind of your unique, 1 Balrog. Unique card choices here. There are no cave trolls in this one, so this deck's playing no trolls. And this is kind of your big companions, and it went more on the small end with playing these Lemonheads. So it's more on the swarm side of things and less on the big Moria. Other than 2, again, these threw in a couple wall crawlers, again, to support the swarm and reduce the Fellowship archery total by 1 when these guys are down. So got a couple of those. That's more of a unique choice. You don't usually see those. And then another more unique choice is we've got a couple flankers. These are just fantastic to stack on Goblin Swarms, though. So if you guys don't know how that works, is these are more likely to win a skirmish especially if you give them a scimitar. And then if they do win that skirmish, you stack them on here, and then when your opponent ever double moves, you can play these out and add 3 if they've moved more than once this turn. So it's very threatening when you're sitting with, you know, the swarms with the flankers stacked on it on the table, and then if your opponent double moves, you're just like, okay, great, I'll play that for 2, you know. So that is a nice nice combo there. So they did utilize that. Then the rest of it is, again, more standard stuff in terms of our 2 copies of They Are Coming, 2 copies of Relics, and 4 scimitars. So, oh, and we've got, lastly, missed him with the minions, but we got 1 Goblin Warrior. But again, fairly standard on that to get rid of Theron. And this is a very standard condition package: 4 scimitar, 2 relic, 2 They Are Coming, and then, as we saw, our 2 swarms and 4 armories. Actually, I didn't pull those out; those must be in my other deck here. So, so that's the other thing that I failed to pull over because I just did this with another deck tech. But we do have, of course, 4 Goblin Armories. Goes without saying. And then that swarms, we did have 2 swarms. So that's the deck. Like I said, don't want to spend too much time on the shadow side of things because that shadow is overall pretty boring. But I think the Free Peoples is really where it's at. So I'm just going to stack that back up again just to show you guys, and think I'll go with just all Free Peoples here for my thumbnail. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to play this deck, guys, it's not fun to play against. So because your opponent just feels like they can't do anything, and that's obviously the whole point of the choke offense is you put down a very small fellowship so they get very few Twilight off your characters, and then you go ahead and choke them on the rest of what they're doing. So yeah, like I said, not fun at all to play against, but it's a deck that really, I think, shows you why there was errata to this game and all of that. So show you some of the more unique cards here. Like I said, in Fellowship, you don't usually see a lot of some of this stuff being played here, but it's a really interesting deck strategy. Fun to test out, but not really fun to play, and really shows you that Fellowship has some for sure broken tendencies to it that it's good that got fixed. So there's some of the unique choke cards that we do play. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the views, all the comments on the videos, and positive feedback. Love doing these deck techs. This one obviously was not shiny and beautiful, but still fun to talk strategy with you guys. Thanks for watching. Quick addendum to the video here, guys. Sorry, I realized I did not shoot the full site path for you. We referenced them in the video a little, but did not actually walk you through the full site path. So just add this on quick for a minute. We've got the Hobbiton party field to play Bilbo. We've got Trollshaw Forest. Again, this is just great for choking because it's only a 1, and you can play possessions to draw cards if you had to stop. This is huge for choking also, 0, and when the Fellowship moves from Council Courtyard, remove 2. So between Aragorn, Heir to the White City, plus the Council Courtyard, after you're moving out of your first Sanctuary, you're going to be removing 4. So that's huge. And you're going to be moving to the Dwarrowdelf Chamber, which is going to give 0 with Gimli. So huge. This is the one that, like I said, we Pathfind off of Gimli. Then 5 is the Bridge of Khazad-dum. Try to choke that down. I don't know the math of it all, but you may be able to prevent the Balrog from even being played if you have enough choking pieces out soon enough. Because again, Gimli's going to choke that site as well. Anduin Confluence. Again, we're not based on allies other than that 1 Bilbo, so we're happy to discard every ally. Oh, wrong order there. So first, Dimrill Dale. Again, that just plays us a cheap orc. Then we're discarding every ally. Then we're allowing the orcs to speed bump if you have 5. And then lastly, exert a minion to make it fierce. This one does have a few more Moria minions that have vitality, so that actually is relevant, for those lemon heads. And then let's think that's the main ones. The flankers and the Lemonheads both can be fierce. So those are kind of your key ones to make it harder for your opponent to avoid your swarm. So, well, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Just a little quick addendum to add on those sites.